So if your viewers don't know what cerebral palsy is, let me just tell you a little bit about it. It happens at birth. It's lack of oxygen to the brain at labor. And as a result of this lack of oxygen to the brain at labor, it can leave one side of the body paralyzed and it can affect your speech. And these things are permanent. This does not go away. This is for life. And when I was born, I wasn't moving the right side of my body very much. And naturally, my mother was concerned about that. So she took me to the doctors to get testing to see what was going on. And through the testing, it came back that I indeed suffered from cerebral palsy. And at the time, the doctors thought it was so severe that they thought I would never, ever be able to walk. And when I got to a certain age, it would be a good idea to get me ready to be in a wheelchair because that was going to be my life going forward. Mm. Well, I have a wonderful mom, and she didn't go with that diagnosis. She got a second, third, fourth, fifth, found a physician that was willing to help. And with this physician's help and me doing physical therapy 5 to 6 times a week, I was able to walk at age 3. I don't really remember that, but obviously that was a huge feat in my life. I do, however, remember being put into soccer, when I was about 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And at the time, I probably could run, 25 to 50 yards, where obviously the other kids could run around the soccer field. They could actually play soccer. And I'm basically standing there. And I remember going to my mom at that point, saying to my mom, I don't want to play soccer anymore. I'm basically standing there making a fool out of myself. I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember what my mom said, because this has kind of been my mantra going forward throughout my life, what my mom said at this point. I don't know why I always remember this, but I remember what my mom told me. She said, Paul, if you don't want to play soccer anymore, that's fine. But we need to honor our commitments. So you need to finish out that soccer season. And if you don't want to play soccer after that, that's fine. You don't have to do that. And going forward, I finished out the soccer season. I'm 41 years old. I haven't played soccer since. I've honored not playing soccer as well. But I got a huge break when I was, I guess would be 6 or 7 years old. I got surgery on my right foot to tighten up the tendon, to give me a little bit more spring in my step, and kind of take away the pain that I was feeling when I would run. And I didn't know how much of a game changer this was going to be for me, David, but it was huge. I remember changing schools right after the surgery, after I did my rehab. And I remember my first day of PE, physical education. I remember doing our stretches and the teacher saying, okay, guys, now run your lap. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. I'm going to run 25 to 50 yards and I'm going to have to stop. And these other kids are going to see this and they're going to start teasing me again. But because of the surgery, it was different. I remember going past that point where I normally have to stop. And I remember saying to myself, come on, Paul, you got this, bud. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And I finished the lap with the other kids. On the outside, I kept it cool, but on the inside, I was like, yes, yes, yes. It was the first time in my life where I just fit in and where I didn't stand out. I just blended in with the other kids. It was one of the greatest experiences in my young life. And because of the surgery, things got easier for me, but I wouldn't consider them easy. I switched schools again when I was in, now they call it middle school. It was junior high when I was going to school. It's middle school. And at that age is tough. We're all going through hormonal changes. We're becoming teenagers. And these kids have been going to school with each other for years. So they already have their cliques. So just being a new kid and trying to break in is tough. Well, I was a new kid with a disability, so it was even tougher for me. And not to mention, I still walk with a limp. I still hold my right arm differently. So I'm different to these kids on top of being a new kid. So I came in there, bullied and teased quite a bit. It was extremely hard time in my life. And on top of this, my mom raised me Catholic. So she wanted me to go to a Catholic high school. So during this time, I had to take an assessment test to see where I was at academically. So when I got to high school, they knew where to place me. Well, I must have bombed the test because when I met with the principal and my mother, the principal comes to us and says, you know what, we're going to have to put Paul at the lowest level possible. And with his test scores, I don't expect much from him. He does not seem like he's college material. After one test, this principal says this to us. So now I'm bullied and teased in school. And now I also think I'm stupid. So I go back to school and I'm going through this. I can't catch a break. I can't make any friends. I'm crying myself to sleep most nights. asking, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to be different? Why can't I just be one of the other kids? I don't know what came over me, David, but midway through my eighth grade, my last year in middle school, junior high, before I went to high school, I was sick and tired of being angry and sad all the time because those were my go-to emotions. But I knew deep down they were not my go-to emotions. They were because of the environment I was in, and I wanted to change that. So I thought to myself, what could I do to distract me from these feelings of anger and sadness? And I thought to myself, what if I set a goal for myself and I focus in on the goal, and that will help me ignore the noise that was going on throughout my life? So I thought, what should I make my goal to be? And at the time, I really loved baseball. So I thought to myself, what if I tried to make my varsity baseball team in high school? So I enrolled in fall ball, winter ball, spring ball. And if I wasn't doing that, I was throwing a tennis ball against the wall. And the great thing about this, David, I know this now. I didn't know this when I was going through this journey. I was changing the energy I was sending out to these kids. Instead of having my shoulders forward, head down, I had my shoulders back, my head up. I was carrying myself with a lot more confidence in myself. And as a result of this new energy I was sending out to these kids, they started sending a different energy back towards me. In other words, instead of bullying and teasing me, they started rooting for me. They wanted me to go after this goal and to try to make my varsity baseball team. And as a result, my junior high career was much different than my high school career, and all stem of this goal that I set. And just that alone would have been a win. But on top of that, I was able to make my varsity baseball team as a junior and a senior. And my senior year, I was able to pitch a 3-hit shutout where they poured the Gatorade on me, and I felt larger than life. I felt like I could do anything. And I really, really thought about that after I graduated high school, about what that principal said to me years earlier about not being college material. See, all through my high school experience, I just did enough to stay eligible to play baseball because I thought to myself, what's the point? I'm not college material. Why waste my time? Just do enough to get by and then get on the baseball field. That's what's going to happen. And that's how I did it. So, but my baseball career was pretty much over, but I really looked at that going, I have cerebral palsy and I made a varsity baseball team. When I made that goal, I thought it was near impossible to make that goal. I thought it was just to distract me from being bullied, but it became more than that. I was able to accomplish it. So I thought to myself, why can't I set another goal for myself? Why can't I set a goal to say that I am college material? So I enrolled in a junior college because I was the only place that would accept me at the time. I got myself a math tutor. I got myself a regular tutor. I went to the math lab. I did everything necessary to increase my grade point average. And as a result of this hard work, I was able to take my barely a 2.0 all the way to 3.5, where I was able to transfer to a 4-year university, and I was able to graduate. And I so wanted to go back to that principal and say, see, you were wrong. I was college material. I can do it. But I thought, you know what? I should probably thank her, because in the back of my head, I was hearing her voice saying I was not college material all through my college career. And I was saying to myself, I'm going to show you I am college material. So she gave me the extra motivation I needed to graduate. I don't know if I would have had that motivation if she didn't say that. So in the end, I should thank Miss Madsen for those words. So now I graduate college. I have no life experience whatsoever. I have no idea what the heck I want to do with myself. And I had this family friend that comes up to me and goes, hey, he's the CEO of a small bank. He said, why don't I hire you? You can be one of my loan officers. And I'm like, I got nothing better going on. Let's try it out. So he hires me. So I get in here and I get in, and nobody really wants to talk to me. Everybody's ignoring me. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? I'm sitting alone at lunch. I haven't felt this way since junior high. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I quickly realized what the problem was. Everybody knew I knew the CEO of the company. So they knew it wasn't because of the talents I had. It was because of who I knew. So what they were going to do is they were going to chew me up and spit me out because I did not belong there. I didn't earn my keep, so to speak. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to show them I am going to earn my keep. So I really dug in. I had a positive attitude. I never complained about the workload. And from afar, because they didn't want to talk to me, I was observing what the top loan officers did on a daily basis, what their habits were. And I remember my first day of wanting to go out in the field and get loans for the first time. And I remember my family friend, CEO, stops me and goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm ready. I'm going to go out in the field. I'm going to get loans." And he has a concerned look on his face like, no. You are not ready to do that. We got you more training and then we'll send you out. And I'm like, no. I got this. He's like, all right. And I didn't got this. I was falling on my face for months. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. It was bad. I was getting brutalized by these clients, but slowly but surely, I kept at it over and over again. I started to realize the value I could add to the clients, and slowly but surely, I started getting loans and more loans and more loans and more loans. And 2 years later, in this company, I became a top producer. And some of these people that didn't want to talk to me when I first got there are now coming to me with questions on how I was able to get so many loans at such a short period of time. So I really, really enjoyed the mortgage industry for a long time. Then 2008 hit and the economy just tanked it. Mm-hmm. I would get a job in the mortgage industry and the whole company would go belly up. And then I'd have to get another job in the mortgage industry and that company would go belly up. And this happened about 3 or 4 times. So I was really losing the luster of being in the industry. And I remember one of my last places I was at in the mortgage industry, they brought in this motivational speaker to talk to our sales team to kind of bring up our numbers and motivate us. And the guy blew me away. The guy was tremendous. So after the presentation, I went up to him to tell him how great of a job he did. And he was very, very gracious. He allowed me to pick his brain a little bit. And he told me he started as a life coach. And I'm like, life coach? What in the heck is a life coach? And he kind of explained to me what that was. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe I want to do that. So in doing the mortgage industry, I started to get my coaching certificate in life coaching. And I started to tell people, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And people were just humoring me and going, okay, life coach, whatever, get loans, bud. Whatever. Yeah, you life coach, but and this and that. And then things started to get real for me. I got my website up and I was going to do it on the side. I was going to coach on the side and I was going to still have my full-time job as a mortgage loan officer. And I remember the legal team gotten word of what I was trying to do. And then and I explained to them what they were going to do. And they go, this could be a conflict of interest. We're going to have to get back to you. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound good. And they get back to me and they send me this 5-page report, what I couldn't say in the coaching. And I looked at this and going, there is no way in heck I'm going to make any traction in the coaching world if I follow this to the T. So I made some decisions. I thought, well, you know what? I'm really going to have to give this a go. So I spent a year and I took down all my debts, paid all my debts, went debt free. Did everything necessary to set myself up to start this business. And I remember I quit and people are like, what in the heck are you doing? You just made President's Club. You're a mortgage loan officer. What's this pie in the sky nonsense coaching thing? What are you doing? I'm like, no, I want to give this a go. And they're like, whatever, you'll be back. I'm like, okay. So I get into coaching and it was tough for a very, very long time. And I thought I was going to have to go back. Because nobody wanted to hire me. Nobody trusted me. Nobody wanted to do anything about me. And then I started to really do some soul searching about myself. How do I expect people to be vulnerable with me if I'm not vulnerable with them? See, the story I told you about cerebral palsy, I wanted to bury that story. I don't want to tell anybody that story because all through growing up, all I wanted to do was fit in. I didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to be the other kids. So just bringing up having cerebral palsy, I would be near in tears. I would make up excuses why I was limping, and it was never about cerebral palsy. It was like playing softball, some nonsense. But I thought the only way I'm going to make traction on this is if I own it, if I own my own vulnerability. So once I started opening up about my story, and it was very, very tough for a very, very long time, things started to open up for me. I remember my first client coming to me and going, Paul, I don't have cerebral palsy, but I have X, Y, and Z. I feel like you understand me. I want to work with you. And then because of that, I kept building. And now I'm on a mission to help people rewrite their stories and take back their pen and write the story they want for their lives, not for anybody else, but for themselves. So that's where I'm at, David.
Buddy, I got like goosebumps and chills just throughout the whole thing. I love this. I love your energy. I got to tell you, a funny thing is I hate soccer. I hate soccer with a passion. just going through what I've been through, as in having the asthma, and again, you being unable to, like, having labels placed on us, and people saying, even like my mom some days like, yeah, I don't think you should run, take your puffer, or just relax. I'm like, no, like I just want to go. Like it's hard. It's when people throw labels on you, it's, you get this emotional, and you go through this past life in a sense, or memory of, oh yeah, I remember when I tried it, that this happened. And sometimes, like you mentioned, you just have to go and place goals on yourself and try your best to achieve it. You mentioned baseball, buddy. I'm the biggest baseball fan ever. I love baseball. I love it. I play the left field, and I, to be honest with you, my biggest thing is I love just hitting the ball as far and as hard as I can. Just so, like, I'm a kind of a small, not really small person, I'm pretty decent size, but like going through high school, we had like a lot of, there was like a jock. There was a guy, like, we had like, there was like a jock club, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to hit the ball further than these people. I'm going to run faster than every single one of them. And that's what I did. I played football, played soccer. I love volleyball, played the baseball, played all these sports, just to say that, hey, guess what? Yeah, I might have asthma, but I'm not going to let that ruin my life and ruin my enjoyment. Like, again, I love the energy that you have, and I love that through all your labels and boxes that people place you in, you ripped off those labels, you broke those boxes down, and you're like, forget about it. This is not me. I'm not going to let this define who I am. And I believe that once you accepted that you had this condition, that you just said, yeah, so what, I have it. Great that I have it. But guess what? Look at all that I've accomplished. And then now I'm pretty sure, I don't know you as well or at all, I'm pretty sure you have goals already that you already have. You have like a 1 year or 5 year or even a few months goals that you're working on right now, that you just want to prove to yourself and everybody else, saying, hey, guess what? I can do it. Do not label me that way. And I love that the picture that you have behind you that says only you can write your story the way it was meant to be, which is very true. Because at the end of the day, we are editors and authors of our own life. And if something doesn't look right, we have the opportunity. And it's funny, my previous podcast I just had, I don't have a pen at my desk. I usually have like 5 of my, I have no clue where it is, but it's the fact that we are the ones that are able to cross out or change how our story is going to be. And it's really up to us to change. And if we choose to not change it, then take the pen out of our hands, to be honest with you, and do not rewrite do not write our story for us. Because if we cannot tell a story, and I truly believe this, that our life in general, we have a purpose to tell stories, to gain experience, to share those moments in time, to give other people I say a chance to overcome, a chance to be happy within their lives, because we know that, hey, I know what I've gone through, and I know that there's other people that have gone through probably something similar. If we're able to share our story with them, to say that, hey, it's not that bad, but really, I'm going to be there. Like you mentioned, you're a coach. You could say, hey, I'm going to be there as your coach to push you, to motivate you. And that's one thing, like I'm doing physio now. I love my physiotherapy because I'll be doing sit-ups. Now I'll do like 10. And he's just like, seriously, get your ass up. Let's keep going. And you'll pull my arms and you'll just pull me. And I'm just like, my stomach hurts. And I had hip surgery. We'll go for walks. He'll tie a rope around my waist and he'll walk faster than me. And I'm like, dude, I can't. He's like, get those words out of your mouth. There's no such thing as can't. You're going to try and you're going to achieve it no matter what. He reminded me of those times where, again, the asthma kicked up. And I remember running the marathon, my asthma kicked up. Sorry, it was a 10 kilometer in the winter. My asthma kicked up like halfway in, so like 5 kilometers in. And I'm just like, I'm dying. But I'm seeing people that are worse shaped than me, to be honest with you. And they're killing it. And I'm just like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't let this dawn on me. And a little thing about myself, my little nephew passed away. He was 2 when he passed away. And I look at that and I reflect back on that. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm running for him. I'm running for those people that cannot run. So someone like yourself, I'm running for you when I run my marathons. Because again, I don't know if you can run a marathon or not, or if you want to or not, but at one point or in some point, the cerebral palsy community, there are people there, like you mentioned, cannot walk or cannot run. I'm running for you guys. I'm running for those that have the asthma, that have labels on them that saying, hey, you can't do it. Hey, I'm running for you guys. So I'm very passionate with this. This is the most passionate I've been in a long time with my podcast, and I love it. I'm not saying I don't have passion for my previous ones, but it's more of this is a little snippet of me, which I don't really share on my podcast. So Paul, this is awesome. I love this.
Well, thank you. I love your passion. I love your energy. And yes, I have done one marathon. I did the LA Marathon. One of the hardest things I've ever done. I remember hitting mile 18, right? And I was cruising mile 18, and then I hit that, you hit that mental wall because you're like, I just ran 18 miles, right? And like I got 8.2 to go. So you go like no more, no moss. But you just keep going. And the greatest thing about the LA Marathon is there's so many people along the trail, and you have your name on the bib. So like, come on, Paul, come on. So if it wasn't for those people along the trail, I don't know if I could have done it, but they're rooting for you, and they just get you that extra kick. You're like, all right, I can't let you down. Let's go. Come on.
You're absolutely right. And to be honest with you, I think everyone should run at least a marathon, and if not a marathon, a half a marathon, some run event. Because those people, those cheerleaders that have no clue who you are, they have these signs that say hit here for a power up, or these little kids are like, hey, high five. Just that small tidbit of like that tap or that energy or that crowd that cheers you on, buddy. Like that stuff is just, it's such a great high, and it makes you motivated and pushes you. But I love this. I love this conversation.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, though, I do want to mention to you is I'm not afraid of failure. I've failed a lot in my life, and I think that it's important to fail. And I think if you're not failing, you're not setting your goals high enough, because it's part of life to fail. And I think that as a society, we're scared of setting high goals because we're afraid of failure. And I want to tell people, what's the worst that can happen when you fail? I think that people have this notion of like, when you fail, like you're going to be in this room and there's going to be 30 people and you're going to be in the middle and they're going to be pointing at you and laughing at you. That does not happen. That's not reality. That's what you think it's going to happen. Well, all it's going to happen is going, oh man, that didn't work. But what did I learn? What can I grow from this and go, you know what, this didn't work, but this worked. Now I'm going to turn my route this way. And now I know better because of what I failed to do. I mean, I think Michael Jordan said it right. I mean, he said the reason why I can hit that last shot is because I'm not afraid to miss. He counted, or he had a number in his head of how many times he missed, and it was a high number, way more times that he missed than he hit it, because he wasn't afraid to hit it. I mean, Kobe Bryant, same thing. He's not afraid to take that last shot. It's all about that. It's all Thomas Edison. It's all about breaking through that failure and going for it, and not worrying about it, not worrying about failing. It's part of life. Failing is part of life, and we need to embrace it. And it can be a learning lesson.
Very true. And we have to embrace the failures, because with that, like you mentioned, those are learning lessons. Those are how we improve. Because, hey, if you know that, for example, if you walk down path A, there's a line, for example, you don't walk down path A because, hey, guess what? You know how a line is. But if you walk down path B, you know that, okay, now you're being a little bit more, you're preparing yourself, because you don't know what's going to happen. So you learn to prepare yourself to be more prepared for events to happen or events to come. And again, like I remember that quote from Michael Jordan. But it's like you have to one, practice. You're going to hit that shot. If you're going to hit that shot, you're going to hit that shot. But the biggest thing is, remember that you took that shot in practice. You did that shot 10,000 times. And you know those, and you've done a free throw 10,000 times during practice, and you've done it over your career. There's going to be some that don't go down, and those ones can be game changers. But then we have to embrace it, saying, okay, if I miss that one game changer shot, the next game I'm going to step it up and score not 15 or 20 points. I'm going to go 50 points. So
I'm not going to stop shooting. I'm not going to stop. If I miss that shot, I'm not going to stop shooting. I'm going to keep shooting.
Yeah, exactly. About your coaching, do you have a website in regards to that?
I absolutely do. It's a call to action.coach.
Mhm.
And on that website, I have a free guide on how you can be able to rewrite your story, how I was able to rewrite my story, and how to maximize your day. It's free on my website. Just go to calltoaction.coach. And in addition to that, I've developed a Facebook group called Rewrite Your Story. And it's an awesome group. It's a group of people all over the world, and they come together and they share their stories, and we're there to support with no judgment. We do meetup groups once a month where we talk to people and we just share our stuff. We have different topics we talk about. It's a great, great community. So that's a Rewrite Your Story Facebook group. David, be happy if you join.
Sure.
Just your energy alone, you would add a lot of value to the members of the group. But if they're following you, then I want them in my group too, because I know that they're great people with a lot of energy, because that's who gravitate towards you. So I'm sure the listeners of your group are the people I want in my group, because you're all about lifting people up with no judgment.
Very true. Very, very true. Thank you so much. I got to touch base on your condition. So the cerebral palsy. Have you met others that have that same condition as well? And if so, have you looked at, I guess, motivating them if they're not already motivated and telling your story towards them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, a lot of them are in my Facebook group.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So I have conversations with a lot of people with cerebral palsy. I'm involved in different groups with cerebral palsy, and regardless if you have cerebral palsy or any other limitation, whatever that could be for whoever you are, it's what we need to do is we need to focus on what we can do, not what we can't. Stop dwelling on what we can't do. There's so much we can do. Let's figure out the stuff that we can do, figure out what you love to do with what you can do, and try to go after it as a passion. And that's what life's all about. So I think that's the message that I would have to people in the cerebral palsy community or any community that has limitations. Let's focus on what you can do, because there's so much you can.
Very true. I'm not sure if you ever heard a guy that his whole body is submerged in a tank besides his head. So I'll send you that link.
Yeah, please do.
It's very interesting. So he was born with some condition where he cannot feel or anything down lower than his head. And what he does, he's literally in some sort of tank, like compression tank or something like that, and his head is only the one that's sticking out. And it's what you said that really touched base on this of what you mentioned, was that stop worrying about what we can't do. And what he does is that he knows that he could talk, he knows that he could blink and have conversation with people, but he just can't use his arms, his legs, and stuff like that. So what he does, he actually puts a pen in his mouth and he writes books, and he's a famous author because of that. So again, it's those limitations. He doesn't look at those as limitations. He's literally he's living life to the best as he can, and he's doing the best that he can. And I believe that with the limits that we have or place upon ourselves, we have to really use that to serve the community around us. Because like you mentioned, you were in the mortgage industry and you went out and get loans. And again, people labeled you and say, no, you're not ready. Hell, took you what, a year and a half or so to say, hey, guess what? I'm more than ready. I'm beyond ready. You went to school and again, you ran that track like nobody's business. Your teacher threw a label on you and said, hey, you're going to have, too bad, you can't go to college. You're like, you know what? I'll show you what I can do. Don't label me because you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. And again, I believe that from your mother's love, that started it. Someone that really cared about you and said, hey, guess what? Do not label my son as having a condition. Don't throw that label. My son is too young for that. He's not grown yet. Your mom went through, you mentioned 2, 3, 4, multiple physicians, people that have gone through graduations, that went to grad school and call themselves doctors. Again, I'm not going against the physicians, but sometimes I think they're too fast to, one, dismiss conditions or dismiss you as having potential. And they just want to throw drugs at you and saying, guess what? This is your life, so good luck and deal with it. But yet, again, having somebody in your life that's able to take that time that patience, that love to show that, hey, you have potential within yourself. To have someone to say, guess what? I'm going to help you write your story. I'm going to help you tell your story, because your story is not done at page 1. Your story has unlimited pages. And that's what I think your mom did. And that's what I think those that are supported you throughout your lifetime from day 1 up until now, and hell, even past now, are the ones that are going to help you write your story and tell your story, because they're going to be like, hey, guess what? They're going to go to somebody that has asthma. Someone, let's say if I never heard you before, and let's say I was at 5 years old, they'll be like, hey, there's a guy named Paul. I helped him write his story, and guess what? He's been through this, this, and this, and this. You can do the same. And that's exactly what I believe that you're doing with your life coach. That's exactly what you did, what you're doing with one, accepting at your point in time in life that you want to not be ashamed of your conditions, but let the world know, hey, guess what? Yeah, I do have a condition, but guess what? I have no limits. I might be doing certain things. Maybe I might have some bad days, which I might have a limp every now and then. But hey, there's someone named Terry Fox. If you know Terry Fox, he had cancer, one leg, ran across Canada. I just have a limp. So what? What limitations are you going to throw on me? Hey, my name is Paul. I have cerebral palsy. I ran a marathon. At the end of the day, and then you look at that person like, what have you accomplished? You've never done a marathon? Well, I have. Come, until you do a marathon, come join, then let's have that conversation. And that's how it should be, in all honesty. It's that we're not downgrading the other person. It's, guess what? Let's work on motivating. Let's work on a goal together. Let's work on being better than we were the day before. And I believe that's how you live your life and how I live my life as well. And a lot of people that are listening, when they decide to listen to this podcast, when you're going to listen to this podcast, is how they're going to live their life as well. Is that they're going to hear stories from Paul and David from this podcast and said, guess what? These are very highly motivated people, a lot of people with a lot of energy. We're going to come and share their story on your Facebook group. They're going to look for a life coach on, I've got your website, but you name it right there. Yeah. It's those things that they're going to look at and say, guess what? I can be better. And I'm very happy for this podcast and this interview that we're having, because again, you're giving me that more motivation. I have stickers on my wall that I have for motivation that I've here, and things I've came up with. And one of them that says, when you decide to stand on top of the world, you do not fear what is in it. And I'm just like, you know what? And that has been my personification for the last 2 months. As soon as I had that, like I was sleeping and I had a dream of me standing on top of the Arctic and just looking down on the world. And I'm just like, wow, this is fantastic. I could see what's in there. I'm standing at the top of the world. I'm not saying I'm better, but I'm just saying, guess what? This is how I want to place myself. And fearing what is in it is not fearing the people that was in it, but I'm not going to fear the situations that are around me. Because we have two choices. Either A, we see the acronym FEAR and we either say, forget everything and run. Or we could change it. What it really means, or the other way of seeing it, is fight against, I forgot what it means. Oh my gosh. No, what? Because I was working with another acronym for it. My other acronym was fight, adversary, and rise. And that's what we have to do. We have to fight those adversaries and literally transform ourselves to be relentless. And I think that's what's key. And about this podcast that I'm having with you is that, yeah, I've been through the adversaries. I've been through the trauma. I've been through bullying. But guess what? I'm going to be relentless to my goals to make sure that I achieve them. I'm going to be relentless and write my stories. Despite everything, therefore, I can tell my story. Therefore, other people could tell my story. I'm no longer Paul, the guy with cerebral palsy. I'm Paul, the relentless. This is awesome. I love this. Thank you so much, Paul.
You should get into PR. I couldn't say it better myself, man. You're awesome.
Man, I feel, and it's fun. Like I'm talking, and buddy, like I'm getting goosebumps just talking about all this stuff. It's
wow.
I love it. I love it. So we've said too much, to be honest with you, and I want to leave with golden nuggets. So I'm leaving with golden nuggets. So Paul, anything else you want to add to this?
Yes. Everybody has a unique talent. It's up to us to find out what that unique talent is. And once you find what that unique talent is, share it with the world to see.
Let's end it on that. Paul, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
David, it was a great talk. I feel jazzed. I want to take the world on right now.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.